Good evening, folks. It's January 28th, Tuesday, 8 o'clock p.m. And we're here again for another episode of Common Madness. And I'm your host, A1. Today we're going to be getting into something that I think gets overlooked with dating a lot. I think it gets overlooked, period. Because nobody really thinks about this kind of stuff, factoring it into the equation of whether or not the relationship works because of it or not because of it. And so let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the impact that hormonal changes have on your relationship. Now, I know this may sound a little bit too scientific for most of you people out there in the audience who are watching or listening, but this has a very big impact on your spouse's behavior, responses, and just genuine attitude to you. Now, what a lot of people don't know, this is going to sound funny, is that your body odor is what attracts your mate, just like animals. And a lot of people don't understand the importance of how smelling or being able to smell from a woman's standpoint is imperative to her picking the right mate or partner for her. This is crazy stuff, right? Because you think just because you see your dog walking down the street smelling another dog's ass and he or she is attracted to whatever he or she is smelling, you would not assume that it's like that for us as human beings. You would say, oh, no, this guy, you would think that he's just looking at her. No, we're probably smelling her too without, letting her know that, because a lot of women may not want to be smelled. I personally like the aroma of a woman because I just love women, and I just like the way women smell if they smell good. If they're using good soap and taking care of themselves. And sometimes you even like the way a woman stinks, depending on what kind of stink that is. But it's interesting because it can all be changed. How you perceive a woman or how a woman perceives a man based on her chemicals or his chemicals. Now, we don't have male birth control unless you want to call a condom that, which is birth control in its own way. It's not 100% effective, but it's 99.9 if you wear it right. At least that's what they say, until the damn thing breaks on you. Then you got a whole nother issue, right? But this is interesting because at one point in time, contraception, period, was illegal in the United States of America. I bet you a lot of y'all didn't know that. One of the reasons why it was illegal was because of the close connection between church and state. A lot of people thought that contraception would make people or women or people, let's say people, more promiscuous. And in one way, they're very right. Because a lot of people probably would not have sex as freely right now if they could not prevent pregnancy. Now, one of the biggest and most prolific people in this whole thing that gets talked about, doesn't get talked about, is the founder of Planned Parenthood. Now, her name was Margaret Sanger. She was a pioneer for birth control. It's very interesting, though, because of how it all started for her, because she went to jail 8 times. She got locked up 8 times for this. 8 times, people, just so that she could somehow or another create this whole thing that we have today with the Depo shot and the pills that women can take and abortions and everything else that is occurring now very heavily in our country and other places, because I think she traveled all over the world with this thing, all over the world, wherever she was invited to, and probably wherever the hell she decided to go to try to promote this birth control thing. But it's very crucial because, it does a lot of good things when you're not trying to have a child. But what about when you are trying to have a child? Now, let's get into it, because I don't think people understand the severity of this birth control thing and the effects that it's having on the relationship. Because when a woman is on birth control, her hormones are off. meaning nature does not work the way it's supposed to. And if nature's not working the way it's supposed to, well, then your relationship probably isn't going to work the way it's supposed to, depending on which way it's going to go. I'll tell you how. How many people know about women who have been madly in love with their boyfriend or their husband? They're already settled down or in a house together, and they decide, fuck it, let's just go ahead and do it. And do what, you might ask? Have a kid. Well, in order to have the kid, she's got to get off birth control, folks. So once she gets off this birth control, she gets pregnant. Everybody's in an uproar in a good way, right? Everybody's, happy. They throwing the baby shower. They picking out colors, blue, silver, purple, white. Everybody got to wear. They planning out the gift bags. You know how women get, fellas. You know how they get. And 9 months later, she has the kid. And now, she don't even want this dude. She used to be in love with him. She can't even figure out why she's not in love with this guy anymore. She couldn't. Nobody can. And this was before science actually started to do a lot of research on it, because now I'm going to tell her why she fell out of love with this guy. The truth of it is, she was never chemically attracted to this guy. Not one bit. And she didn't even know it because of the birth control pills or the shot. And see, this is the stuff they don't tell you guys at the clinic, young ladies. This is the stuff they don't tell you when you go to see your doctors. They don't tell you about this stuff. You know why? Because they want to make money off of you, no matter how they can. These people are devils from the beginning. Now, I'm not saying I'm against birth control. What I am saying, though, is that I'm against people control. Because the other side of the coin is this. Birth control is another way of saying controlling the population. Now, I'm not with that, because there's a problem. I don't think there's enough pretty women in the world. I think we could use a lot more. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't pretty women in the world, because I know some of y'all will be like Fox News and try to do that dirty journalism tactic on me. But the truth of it is, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we need a lot more women, and we need a lot more men to go for the women, or go with the women. You know what I mean? And so how you going to have that if you stopping all these people from having babies, or you giving them abortions? Right? So this is a lot of reasons why, besides the fact that if you reduce the population, that's less people, which means it's less money for taxes. So it always comes back to money. It always comes back to money. But the whole thing is kind of interesting, because the body odor thing is interesting, And so the contraceptive pills or the shot has the ability to change a woman's taste for their spouse. What I read was that the woman might be attracted to a certain guy when she's not on birth control. When she's not on birth control, she would pick totally different than what she would on it, because how it works is this: the smell from me for a woman, what she would be attracted to is the opposite of her immune system, right? So what that means is, if we were to reproduce a baby, the baby would have a better chance of survival because of the balance of what I have versus what she doesn't have. You see how you put it together and you make one? A negative and a positive? There has to be a balance. So that's how that would work. Whereas when she's on birth control, she might actually choose to pick someone that more closely resembles her own smell, which means the baby is going to come out unbalanced, or just not as balanced as he or she would have been. So when a woman is, this is an interesting fact, when a woman is ovulating, her attraction for the mate can change to someone that can better assist her with child rearing. Raising the child, right? And it's got to be genetically compatible with her, but it's going to be the opposite way if she's not ovulating. She might go for the bad boy, or the guy who's whatever, you know, but it's not going to be the same person. What I found out though, this I didn't read. This is what I've seen. A lot of women just go for a guy that looks like their dad. Don't ask me why. All right, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. Right? I mean, I don't know the whole psychology behind a woman, but I know this is the kind of stuff that's going on. And so, getting back to Margaret Sanger, because this is a very interesting thing, I think, is in the early 1900s when she first came up with this idea, I had to ask myself, what would inspire a woman to come up with a birth control pill? I mean, because this is revolutionary. She was born in 1879. I think she died in 1960 something. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a expert on Margaret Sanger. I kind of don't like the woman because of a lot of other things. I might get into it. I may not get into it, right? Because I found out a lot of stuff that she was doing in the minority communities of America and the purposes of her Planned Parenthood. But I'm not going to get into that because that's going to turn this whole thing into something else that I'm not trying to. But anyways, what I found out was that her mother died at 49, which is very young for back then because they were all eating organic food and drinking water from the creek or the well. And everything was just all natural. You know, you had a garden in the back, to a couple horses maybe, and a cow you was getting the milk from in the morning. Saved you a lot of money in the trip to the grocery store. I might do the same thing at my house when I get it one day, you know? Anyways, you just need a lot of land for that cow. He got to graze. So, anyways, come to find out the mother had 22 pregnancies. 22! At first I thought, man, you know, it was because she didn't have a TV in the bedroom, so that was what they did for entertainment at night, you know? Then I got to thinking about it, and I said, hey, wait a second. This was back then in the times of the farming era where a lot of times, you know how we look at kids in the city, a lot of us, damn, that's an extra mouth to feed. That's a whole lot more money that's going to have to come out of my pocket. You know what I mean? We're going to have to downgrade the living situation, and you get the gist of it. But back then it was looked on differently. Another kid means that's another helping hand. And it was. But this mother's woman, Margaret Sanger, was pregnant 22 times. I don't even think y'all get that. A lot of these women can't even have one kid. This woman was pregnant 22 times. Somebody help me. Man, she had 11 kids, though, which means it was 50-50 for her. But, man, I ain't mad at her because at least she tried. All right? And thing about it was this, I think, is what drove her to come up with this pill. But I don't think she understood the significance of what she was doing, or maybe she did. I don't know. I'm not psychic on Tuesdays. I'm only psychic on Fridays, people. Anyways, because of this pill, she went to jail. And she went to jail a few times. She was a nurse, but she had to find people who would back her financially, and other people in the medical field who could help her with the genetic development for the drug so that it worked on people, right? Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come on back and we'll talk some more about this, and we'll get into some deep stuff about this that I think will help everybody to see what I'm saying.
Hi, my name is Dr. Needmore. Need more weed? And I have a question for you. Does your girlfriend become a deranged psychopath when she doesn't get her way? Do you secretly want to tranquilize her so you don't have to hear her mouth during the football game? Well, because of my invention, Recludo, you will finally be able to just come home and relax. All it takes is 2 Recludos, and you will have the peace of God without going to church. Used for years by psych wards all around the country, Recludo has helped many orderlies have a quiet and peaceful night while they're doing their duties. Buy Recludo now.
Got it. We're back. So, the pill came on the market in the 1960s. Well, at least that's when it was approved by the FDA. All right? And when it first came on the market, the funny thing about it was only approved for married couples. Now, immediately when the pill came on the market, 2.3 million couples signed up to get it. All right? 2.3 million people. They tested it on the monkeys. You believe this? I feel sorry for these monkeys. I feel sorry for chickens, and I feel sorry for turkeys on Thanksgiving. But they always messing with these goddamn monkeys. I like monkeys, to be personally honest. I think they're very nice creatures. I think all of God's creatures are nice, but I like monkeys and dolphins and dogs the best. They just cool to me. I also might get a pet bird one day, but that's neither here nor there, right? All right, so anyways, they tested this shit on goddamn monkeys. Now, they put one monkey in a room with 6 women. The monkey was attracted to the women who weren't on birth control, right? But he would never mess with the women who were on it. Then what they did was they gave it all to them. They gave them all the damn shot, right, people? The monkey didn't want to do anything with any of them. So he just sat in there and ate his banana, I guess. Then when they, I guess, siphoned the birth control out of these female monkeys, the monkey had a ball again. Now, you tell me that monkey ain't smart, right? Maybe we the dumb ones. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's tripping me out. But this thing has an upside if you don't want to have a child, but the downside is it might screw your whole relationship up because your woman might go through physical changes because of this birth control thing. One of the physical changes that I'm noticing with a lot of these women is they retain a lot of fluid. Now, the fluid retention is going to make them fat, gentlemen. Fat. If you like a slim, sexy woman, don't put that girl on birth control. You better just wear a condom. You better just do something like that. I'm not going to tell you to practice abstinence because, shoot, that's it's kind of hard to do, you know. I mean, once you dive in one time, I mean, you're going to want to keep going swimming. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? But I'm going to tell you like this. That might be the reason why a lot of our beautiful women here in America are walking around overweight, obese, plain long, just not what they could be. I don't want to get on. I'm not saying I'm against anybody's body type. I'm just saying this might be why some women are the way that they are. And we don't know as men. Shit. We don't know. We ain't scientists. I can't look inside this woman's body and see what chemicals from a chicken or anything is going to her brain in a certain way to make her act crazy. We can't see that. We're not gods in that sense. We don't know. And so this fluid retention thing and obesity might be directly linked to birth control pills in a lot of cases. All right? There are other things too. The mood changes in a woman from these birth control pills or shots. They get so emotional. Oh my God. It's crazy. Yo, so let me tell you something, a little story, right? I know this guy, he goes out with this girl, and the girl says that when she gets her shot, she just wants to cry. She don't even know why she want to cry. That's how crazy this shit is. She just wants to cry. You give her a cookie, she mad ain't enough chocolate chips in it, right? You give her a ride, She don't like the way the seats feel. She might bust out crying. You know who gets blamed for that shit? My homie does, right? He's a nice guy though because he deals with it better than I would. Cause yeah, I wouldn't want to deal with that kind of a thing, right? But anyways, the other thing that comes from this birth control thing that a lot of people don't know about is headaches. Serious migraines. Very serious migraines. And so at nighttime when you with your woman and you want to do the loco thing with her, you know? You be snuggling up next to your woman. Next thing you know, she's, baby, I can't do it tonight. Why you don't want to do it? I got a headache. Let me rub your head. You rub her head. You hope you can get some of that nookie. Man, that shit don't leave till the next morning when it's time for your ass to go to work. You big mad, but what you gonna say? You know? What you gonna say about it? But it might be because of this birth control thing. And the truth of it is a lot of people don't know that. We want you want to be able to do everything you want to do without having any side effects to it. And that's just not how life is, people. That's not how life is. Fast forwarding though from the 60s when this thing was first allowed to be sold. In 1972, the Supreme Court gave everyone access to this technology. 1972. And my, look how it has changed our communities. All right? Look how it has changed the face of America. You look how it has changed the world. All right, people? Because the truth of it is, there'd be a lot more of us if it wasn't for this invention. Sometimes I wonder about that, and I say, is it better off or could it be, is it worse? No one knows the future. No one knows the future. I just know what's going on in my life today. You know, maybe this birth control thing stopped my wife from being born, who I haven't met yet, or maybe I already know her. I don't know. But you never can tell. Maybe it stopped your wife or your husband. Ladies, you know what I mean? Who's to say? But they didn't tell us this, man. We didn't. I don't know if people knew what they were signing up for. I really don't. And the crazy thing about it is this one. When they first came up with it, it was not called birth control. It was called something totally different. Here's my notes at. It was called damn thing. Prevenception was the original term for it. Prevenception. And they did not, they came up with birth control once they did sat down with the marketing team, and some think tank came up with this. It is a lot better than prevenception, you know. I mean, I get it. You're trying to prevent. I get it. But birth control is a lot better. But they build it as something totally different than what it was. When it first came out, it was supposed to be for severe, what is it? Where's this thing at? Folks, you're going to have to look it up. I can't find it. But it was billed as something totally different. It was not billed as birth control because the American government, they wouldn't have went for it at that time. We just weren't as liberal in our views. This thing was, it's called Inovid. Inovid. That was the name of the first pill. And it's just crazy how everything has changed. Let's go to commercial break real quick again, folks. We'll be right back. Okay, so I found it. So the Innovid pill was marketed under the guise of being able to prevent, they called it disturbances in menstruation and pregnancy. Check that out. You see how they worded that? Those guys, they sure are clever. They sure are clever. I got to give them a hand, but I can't because I got a mic in one. And yeah. Thank you. Thank you, engineer. Thank you, engineer. So this whole thing is kind of interesting, right? Because what the birth control pill essentially did when it was introduced was it led to an uptick in women entering the workforce because now they have more freedom. And that's what they built it under was women's freedom. And I'm all for women having equal rights and that sort of a thing, right? But I also think on the other end, as men and women, we all have roles. Men and women have roles. When you try to switch the roles, you end up doing stuff you shouldn't do or wouldn't do. It might not work for you. You know, have you ever asked your wife to carry a 200-pound box in the house? I don't think you would, right? That's your job as a man, right? You're gonna have to figure out how to get that damn thing in the house, you know? Or would you be happy if your wife asked you to I don't know. Let's not do anything else other than because I don't know how people are looking at a lot of stuff really weird now. So the only thing I can really do is the heavy lifting and that kind of a thing because you could equate that. You know, that's not totally, yeah. Anyways, so what it did was it allowed more women to enter the workforce and it empowered more women because now they don't have to just they have a choice. That's the way to put it. They have a choice. They have a choice as to when they can have the kid, when they don't want to have the kid. Now they have more of a say-so, right? Whereas before it's like, damn, I'm pregnant. I got to do this. Now it's like, well, we don't have to get pregnant this year. We can plan it. Hence the name Planned Parenthood, right? Hence the name Planned Parenthood, right? So in 1965, this is an interesting tidbit of information, folks. 26.5 million women were in the labor force. 26.5 million, 1965, right? Fast forward to 2014, we're up to 80 million. 80. Folks, that's a big jump. It's such a big jump. I'm surprised that it's not being heralded as one of the greatest one of the greatest surges in employees ever. I mean, you're talking about that's a big number. All right, it's a big number. It's almost 60 million people. Almost 60 million people. 60 million people almost, because of this invention, this one genetic technological advancement called birth control. All right, and it's gonna go up even more. But a lot of this too is kind of negative. Because now the whole family structure has changed due to women going out and working. All right? The woman is the backbone of the household. The man can be too. I mean, it's interchangeable sometimes. But the woman is who the boys run to for a hug or who cooks the food or does the regular stuff. Now, I'm thinking traditionally. But essentially, that's kind of what it is in a lot of places. You know, I'm not against you if you think something different. And I'm not saying I'm right or you're wrong. I'm just saying the traditional value or job title or whatever, not job titles, but things that a woman does are these types of things. But so this changes now. And so now you have women getting home late or nobody being at home. Right? Because the guy's out working, the woman's out making a living too. And so a lot of these kids are now in the house by themselves getting raised by the television. Their television or that rap CD in their radio that they're listening to, you know? And this thing is having a profound effect on our society because if you don't raise your children, well, the world will. And I don't think you want the world to raise your child because the world is not a nice place now, is it? You know, to say the least. But, you know, I don't really think that at a certain point, I think that it comes down to what do you want to do as a person living your life, and you're gonna make your own choices, whether they had birth control or not. You know, but a lot of stuff with this birth control thing has been used negatively on a lot of communities. For instance, they put a lot of these Planned Parenthood facilities in ethnic minority neighborhoods, and a lot of that was because they would like to kill off the minorities. Quiet is kept. Quiet is kept, right? And who? I don't know. You know, as nefarious and diabolical as it may sound, it's kind of true if you look at the numbers in certain cities with how many abortions are happening because of these facilities or these pills. Because these pills actually do kill babies. And the sad thing about it is, what I even found out digging a little bit deeper, people, was that they're selling body parts from the babies. Can you believe this? They're selling body parts from the babies. Now, I know this has nothing to do with the relationship, but it does have something to do with another side effect with this whole thing, right? And they were brought up on charges. I think they had to pay $7.8 million. I think what was Da Vinci Laboratories. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. You got to Google this and look it up, because I think it needs to be said. They were selling the body parts from the fetuses that they were ripping from the wombs of the mother. Now, you tell me that that's not evil. I don't want my baby to be sold or stolen, one. But then two, this whole thing, what the hell are you using it for? That's the question I got in my mind, is what are you using it for? And you know, I've heard all kinds of stories. I'm not going to get into it because I don't really want to turn this thing into a witch hunt of sorts, or something of a conspiracy theory show, because this whole thing is rooted in facts. Folks, it's rooted in facts. You can't really deny it. But the truth of it is, that's some weird shit to have occur, where you got fetuses being ripped from mothers' wombs willingly. They're willingly giving you the babies. And the next thing you know, you got a goddamn arm being sold on the black market for God knows what. 'Cause I don't know what the hell you do with that. I really don't know. I have no idea. But the thing that I think really plagues my mind with this whole thing is the fact that it's very hard for men and women to get along naturally at times without anything. You don't even need birth control to get in a fight with your wife. All right? She don't even got to be on birth control, or your girlfriend or a woman or whoever. You don't need that. You know, you can have a disagreement about nothing. And now with this that I'm learning, man, they have tripled the odds that you're going to get into something with somebody, you know, who you in love with or who you in a relationship with, because of this stuff. And you know who's going to get blamed? You or her. Not the company that did it. We never see these people at these corporations that are giving us this stuff. Never. Never. And so I don't know. I'm not really sure what to say about it. In another way, I don't know what to do about it, because, man, people aren't going to listen to this. This isn't the first time this has been talked about. When I did my research, they were talking about this 8 years ago in 2012. There were little articles I was finding from 2012 where it was talking about this whole thing and how there's an adverse effect that's not being factored into relationships with these birth control tactics and medicines or chemicals that they're injecting to prevent you from being pregnant and blocking nature. All right? This is being talked about in 2012. And you know what? I still haven't heard that much about it. I think I'm probably the only guy to talk about it from what I'm seeing. The only one? That's crazy. That's crazy. Everyone's talking about Kim Kardashian or R.I.P. Kobe. But the truth of it is, we need to be talking about stuff that's affecting us even more so than what we think it is. Because what I'm finding out is there are elephants in the room in every room you go into. But the problem is we're just not seeing it because we're focused on everything else. Everything else that has nothing to do with any of it. Anything that could really help us or bring or is beneficial to us in an economic way. Everybody's complaining about taxes. Or not taxes, but lack of money. And the whole time they have to give a third of their paycheck away for taxes. And no one's saying anything about it. That has nothing to do with this. I'm just venting, folks. Excuse me. Getting back to it, though, what I found out was that in order for you to be able to deal with your wife or your girlfriend on this birth control stuff, you kind of have to be able to adjust. You have to adjust to this woman. And you know what you're going to have to tell her? Exactly what I'm telling you right now, fellas. Baby, you only feel like this because you on that damn pill. Boo, you only feel like this because you got that shot. In a couple days, it's going to go away. This isn't really how you feel. See, emotions are a tricky thing, people. A very tricky thing. Because you can feel emotional about something one day. The next day, you don't give a damn about it, right? How many good men are locked up in jail because they got emotional and let pride take over one day for 2 minutes and they did some stupid shit, right? He would have never shot that boy if he had thought about it for 10 seconds longer. 10 seconds longer, he'd have never shot that boy. And you know what? He would have never been to jail. But because he didn't think he got emotional, them chemicals took over. That boy doing 25 to life. We got to send him money every month and write letters. He's sending pictures, doing them jailhouse poses. Put some money in my commissary. Wouldn't have to though, bro, if you didn't get caught up in this emotion. And so you got to talk to your women, fellas. You got to tell them, don't get caught up in these emotions, baby. I'm here for you. I love you. I ain't going nowhere. Let's work through this thing together. These doctors, they're making it so we can have sex freely. But they're not making it so we can be with each other in an amicable way a lot of nights or days, right? Because these fucking chemicals is ruining the relationship. Because you don't know what you feel. And that's the real issue. A lot of us don't know what we're feeling. We only know that we're feeling it. We don't know why. We don't know where it's coming from. We don't know how it even got there. We just know that we're mad or we're sad or we're happy. That's it. You don't even know what the fuck makes you happy no more, or sad, or mad. You just know that you are these things. Folks, we got to question these things. We've got to question our emotions. We've got to question why you feel a certain way and why you aren't happy. And I bet you when you start questioning, you'll start to uncover things that you never thought were there. You never knew. All right? One of the other factors that is factoring into this whole relationship thing besides birth control, and I got to talk about this because it goes right along with what we're talking about with these chemicals that are messing up people's hormones, that are triggering these arguments, fights, or lack of affection and love for their partners, is soy. You really don't understand how deep and dark this soy thing goes. I'm not going to get into it on this episode, but I probably will get into it on the future episode one day because you got to hear about this, folks, because the soy increases the estrogen in your body, in a man, all right? It also creates a breeding ground for cancer and other things because it lowers your pH, your level for your blood. Your blood has to be pH 7.1. That's why when you drink alkaline water, it's good for you. If you put anything less than that into your body, people, it's no good for you. And it creates a breeding ground for disease. All right? But this soy also changes. If it changes estrogen levels and testosterone levels in men, it works against your nature. And so a lot of people are feeling things that they wouldn't feel if it wasn't for this goddamn soy. Now, they are touting soy as a positive thing. They've been touting it for years. You've heard of it, soy milk. They're putting soy in the chewing gum. They're putting soy in the bread. They're feeding the goddamn chicken soy. You believe this? They're feeding the chicken soy. They're giving it to the cows. We're eating it. We don't even know what the hell we're eating in America. I'm sad to say it, but it's true. We don't know what the hell we're eating in America. We just know when we're hungry, we go down the street to the carry out, get chicken, French fries, and fried rice, whatever it is you want to eat, man, and we just crush it. We don't got no questions. You think they put a nutrition label on the side of that 4-piece chicken with the fries with the mumbo sauce on it? No. You don't know what the hell you eating, man. Nothing. You don't got an idea. We got to stop this. We've got to wake up because these chemicals are killing the country. And I'm saying it. That's right, I'm saying it. It's killing the nation. And you don't know it. None of you do. Some of you do, but you're not talking about it. This should be a hot push button topic every fucking place in America. The truth of it is, it should be. Because in reality, how you feel is how you treat the other person who you with. You understand? If I'm upset, I walk into a room, man, people are going to feel this upset. People are going to feel this anger. It's going to change them because they're going to have to be around me while I'm upset. You understand? And so it goes like that with everything else. So we really need to check this thing out. We need to look at it. We need to figure out how we as a people can become more aware of what we're putting in our bodies. Why don't you care about what you're eating? Why don't you care about what you're injecting into yourself? Why don't you test all this stuff before you put it in your body? If you're sniffing cocaine, man, test it for fentanyl. Get you a test strip. If you're shooting dope, test it for fentanyl. Test it for anything. Make sure you're getting what you're supposed to get. Because if you were more aware, I bet you a lot of y'all wouldn't be dead. I bet you if you were more aware, a lot of y'all wouldn't be divorced. You'd have been able to tell your wife, hey, baby, you really don't not love me. You just feel like this because of these chemicals. Let's make this thing work. You didn't know about this, so you couldn't even use it as an argument. Because of that, now you by yourself or you with a woman who you don't even want. And you had to buy a dog. You had to buy a dog. I'm sorry, but you had to buy a dog. You couldn't get a woman. You had to buy a dog because the dog loved you. You didn't have to do shit to the dog but pet him and give him some food. He was your best fucking friend. But you can't get a fucking best friend in real people because you don't know how to talk. You didn't know about this shit. All right? Shit is sad. Don't laugh. Sad. I know a lot of people had to buy dogs. I don't know. I feel a lot better now that I'm talking about this thing though. Because now that I've gotten it out, it's your job to listen. So I hope that you all will take heed to what I'm saying and you'll listen. All right? Because I'm only telling you this because I have love for you. I'm not saying I love you like that. I'm just saying I love humanity. All right? I love humanity. I love being a human. I love everything that goes along with it. All right? Even waking up in the morning with bad breath. You know, because my breath actually doesn't stink in the morning. That's a joke, right? Joke. Probably does. I don't know. I don't try to smell it. Anyways, folks, I love you. We're going to be back here next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. I look forward to seeing you all then. You guys have a great night, great weekend. And remember what I told you. Become aware of what you're putting in your bodies because it could not only save your life, it could save your relationships. This is A1. This is the end of Common Madness. You guys have a good night.